Hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. We are live right now. We are live right now. And I would like you to, as you join in, please share, please share, please share, so that more people can join in and see this. Please kindly share, kindly share as we begin the conversation about how to have a happy new year. That's what we are talking about tonight. We are speaking about how to have a happy new year. All right. Um, a lot of what I will be talking about, a lot of what I will be talking about is is about so the premise upon which we can look into the next 365 days, more so the next 3 to 5 years, more so, and how you can organize and prioritize the resources in your life to produce the highest results that is possible. That's essentially um, the things that we will be discussing and we will be looking at. All right. So as you join in, please comment. Let me know where you are watching from, and also share so that more people can join. Also share so that more people can join. Also share so that more people can actually join. Right. So how to have a happy new year. How to have a happy new year. That's what we're discussing. How to have a happy new year. That is what we are discussing. How to have a happy new year. All right. Please come in. Please comment from where you are watching from. Please comment where you are watching from. Comment. Please share. Please like. Please, and then we can kick it off right now. Who is here? Who am I seeing here? Am I seeing anyone? Please like, please share, please comment as you join. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate those who are already here. Please comment so I can know that you're here and I can give you a shout out. All right, so how to have a happy new year? Um, Again, so a big happy new year to everybody. Thankful to God that year after year we continue to um, make progress and continue to have our life sustained. All right. So, what is in a year? In real terms, in practical terms, right? What really is a year? What is in a year in that sense? In practical terms, what is a year? What is in a year in practical terms? All right. What is in a year in practical terms? What is in a year? You are not watching from Cape I know where you are watching from, young man. Daniel, I know where you are watching from. Stop telling me you are watching from Cape All right. So what is in a year? A year is 365 days. A year is 8,760 hours. a year is 525,600 minutes, and close to a year is also close to 30, more than 31 million seconds is what we have in a year. All right. But these numbers don't mean anything in the real sense, because at the end of the day, that raw number, that raw number is not all that is available. Now, there's total available numbers in the year in terms of 365 days, or 8,760 hours, or how many weeks, 52 weeks. There are those numbers, but those are just numbers that are available to everybody. That is, those are not numbers that are usable to everybody. All right. So the right approach in terms of how you understand what is in a year will matter so much, such that you are able to understand, away from the euphoria of a new year, you're able to understand practically in clear terms what it means, what a year delivers and provides for you as a person. All right. So the usable time is the portion of a year that can be directed towards a deliberate effort. That's the usable time. It's a portion of the year, whether it's weeks, hours, months. It's just portions within the year that you can truly deploy in the achievement, in the achieving of your goals and your dreams, in the pursuing of your goals and your dreams, such that there are 52 weeks within the year. Within that 52 weeks, you know, by the time you exclude 6 hours, 8 hours of sleep, and you do the calculation, you probably have slept for a couple of weeks already, totally within the year and all that. So you understand, by the time you strip the year down, from other obligation or the overhead charge upon the year in terms of um, the things that you have to deploy into all different forms of activity. By the time you strip down the difference between the total time within the year and the total usable time for you, you find out that you don't really have 365 days in that same calculation. You have, based on depending on your commitment, depending on the tenacity that you use to engage the year, you probably have about 250 or 200 days. Everybody, by the time you are done with removing weekends, for those you don't work on weekends, you really have to rest, you have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to pursue some form of leisure, you have to deploy all your time towards, because you are not going to be in pursuit of your dream 24 hours a day. It's practically impossible to be in pursuit of your dream for 24 hours a day for every second of the day throughout the year, right? So by the time you think about it in that sense, and you remove the total time available, you remove the total usable time from the total time available, what you will find is that you will find that we do not necessarily have 365 days available for us to use consistently in the pursuit of our goals. So by the time you do all that separation and you are ready to pursue your goals and your dream within the year, what you figure out is that you will have less than or fewer than 250 hours, 250 productive work days throughout the year, 200 work days throughout the year, and that takes away more than quite a few times in terms of what is available for you to use and to deploy in the achievement of your goals and your dreams. All right. So there's the usable time in which a person's attention, energy, and agency can all align and they are available. All right. The reason why most annual plans or most goal setting plans for the year don't work is because when you start planning your year, thinking that you have 365 days, you are going to come into a lot of problems because you do not really have 365 days. 365 days is available to everybody, but 365 days is not in practical terms. They are not usable in the pursuit of our goals or in the definition of our peace. All right, so that's very important. It's a very important thing to understand what is really in the year in terms of the time available, and what is really in the year in terms of what a person is able to actually use in the pursuit of their goals. right? So a lot of the issues with goal setting within the year are, you know what, I'm going to achieve this year, I'm going to achieve this year. It's also about the idea that, once you don't know how much time is available for you really within the year, and you go into the year with that assumption that you have 365 days, part of what will happen is that you have begin to get overcommitted, You get you overcommit yourself in certain areas of your life, and then there's that gap in understanding of what is truly available for you within that year. All right, so I'll also quickly touch on the idea of sort of like a calendar year. All right, what's the idea of a calendar year? And it's very important because a lot of times, what I've learned over the years is that this idea of January to December does not really, it's not an efficient way to define your year, anyways. All right, so it's not necessarily an efficient, it's not an efficient way to define your year because if you think about it, almost all organizations, almost all institutions with any form of meaningful direction, even the governments, even governments of nations, banks, lawyers, senate, politicians, they don't work within the constraints and the confines of a January to December calendar year. It's very important to understand this difference, right? A lot of organizations, a lot of institutions, a lot of corporations have what they call their own calendar. They have within January to December, they have their own calendar year. They organize themselves such that their most productive energy is deployed, their most productive resources deployed within a calculatable yearly cycle. A lot of it can be September to September. A lot of it can be December to December. A lot of it can be January to January. A lot of it can be October to August. A lot of it can be February to November. The point is, they are able to find their own productive cycle within different calendar years. All right. For instance, the English Premier League begins in August and ends in May, and that is one full season as against beginning in January and ending in December. What you will find is you are able to they are able to detach themselves from that January to December clock that defines any form of productivity for them. So they are able to walk through, plan ahead, organize themselves differently, and pursue what they want to pursue, whether a holiday is on or a holiday is off, whether it's Happy New Year or not Happy New Year, whether it's Merry Christmas or not Merry Christmas, whether it's Easter or not Easter. They are not confined by the definition of a year in terms of January to December alone. They are doing so in terms of the seasons and the cycle within that year that they have defined for themselves. It's an important understanding to also have so that you free yourself really of the burden of, this is January, between now and December, I want to achieve this. No, you can have your own productive cycle within the scope. You have to define that for yourself in so many ways, right? Jane, I see you. Thanks for joining. Please, if you're here, you're watching, please comment, please help me share. Please tag anybody you feel should be a part of this conversation as well. Thank you very much. All right, so the calendar year is not just it's not a real natural unit in itself in terms of how you measure life in that sense. Of course, it's just it exists to allow people and institutions sort of like to plan ahead, to measure performance, to allocate resources, and to synchronize action. All right, so and the point I've made, right? Institutions do not, they don't operate just by January to December. That's not They are not concerned about operating from January to December alone. They are concerned about designing for themselves cycles within the year such that they are able to maximize their results. Now, there's nothing in that sense, in a sense, wrong with organizing yourself January to December if you can define your productivity and your production within that context. All right. But institutions do not do that. A lot of meaningful institutions globally within the country, government, politics, a lot of meaningful institutions don't do that. You see, AGMs are being done in August. A lot of annual general meetings are being done in August. A lot of legal year ends in November, ends in October in most institutions, and you'll find that a lot of profit and loss is hardly measured inside of January to December. You see, a lot of institutions a lot of banks will release their P&L statements probably in February or in March. and all that. So it's important to also the idea is to free yourself from the burden of, oh, you know what, I must achieve this between now and December. You can expand your scope. You can understand a lot of people's year, a lot of people's year will not start until April. When they come into a new spore of energy or even new spore of resource, and they are able to actually manage what they can do and pursue it. All right. So um, so use your calendar year, define what it means for you, and just don't get trapped inside of the night January to December sort of flow of things, right? All right. So let's go forward. So governments use fiscal years to control spending. Corporations use planning cycles to allocate capital. Educational systems use academic year to sequence development. All right. So it's not just about finding some type of meaningful structure for yourself within the year, and that mindset can help you just free yourself from the pressure of this thing. Everybody is wise in January. Everybody is wise in January. Everybody is smart in January. Everybody is sober in January. Everybody wants to achieve something in January. But the test of that wisdom, the test of that seriousness, the test of that sobriety is in March, is in April, is in June, right? When motivation has slowed down and determination, the energy of determination is no longer capable of getting you up. All right. It is this type of understanding that frees you from this calendar, January to December calendar, and allows you find meaningful seasons within the year where you can have high level of productions, high level of productivity, and you can deploy your resources in terms of the highest level of pursuit. So the lesson here is not just about that pressure. It's just to find structure for yourself within the year. It can be so you know what? I observed the patterns of my year. In the last 5 years, I realized in January and February, I'm unable to get things done. But in April and May, I find that, things just align for me so much so within that year, within those time gaps. Okay, so you begin to plan yourself around, such, where resources are available for yourself and things of that nature. So it's just to give you a different perspective in terms of how to organize yourself year to year. Your year can begin January to January. It can be December to December. Your year can be August to August. All right. Some people's project did not end in December. You were building something. You were learning a skill. You cannot reset your year every time January happens. You cannot. It's not even wise. It's not. It doesn't make sense to me, anyways. Where you are resetting your year every January. You were learning a skill. You were building a business, and the will just reset in January. You carry on. You carry on. December is a season. It's a high capitalistic season. It's a high merchandise driven season. Merchandisation day. So if you have products that you sell in that period. You continue your journey. You continue your growth. Some people, your recycling, your renewal began in August, and you need to be to carry that flow through January without this false energy of reset. There's this false reset energy in January. A lot of people don't need it. Some people need it, some people don't need it. So find which one you are in and plug yourself properly into it. Right. So that's the lesson in terms of what is in the year and what is in the calendar year, right? And that is why a lot of time you find these institutions are able to maximize their fiscal year, fiscal FIFCAL, their fiscal year more than they're able to maximize things more than every other because they know how to organize themselves properly without any emotional. They can give you a break in December. When you come in January, there's no there's no January special goal. You understand? The goal of the company, and you find most institutions and most organizations already work with a 3 year, 4 year, 5 year plan, not just a 365 day January December plan. They work with a 3 year, 4 year, 5 year plan. They have long term plan that helps them manage themselves within the year. And I want to invite you to such thinking as well. All right. And to think to yourself, you know what, I want to plan for 2026, 2027, and 2028. Midterm, right? What are the real possibilities for me within that time gap? And that begins to change how you see your year. It begins to take away the pressure of what I have 12 months. I have 12 months to achieve my goal. Otherwise, yeah. All right. So let me also speak very quickly about how to designing your own personal annual cycle. What are the things to look out for? All right. So define your focus period. If you're a student, You must understand, if you're a student and design your goals, you must be able to design your goals within the cycle of your either free time or your school time. All right. So you will have different cycles within your year. So you don't get pressured into this January to December thing because, for instance, you have 3 months of 3 to 4 months there about as a student where you have to pursue academic goals, right? Then you have in that time your academic goals, you know, becomes the superior, the most important dominant goal for the year for you in that moment, in that season, because you're a student. All right. Then you will have another few months where you can design, where you can pursue something else. All right. So you have to, as a student, you have to think about finding your own personal annual cycle inside of the year and extending it properly. If you're in 300 level, 400, 500 level, your 300 level does not, it don't always enter into January to December. That's a 1 year cycle for you. So how do you organize yourself like that? If you're a corporate person, you are a social entrepreneur, you are a politician, so you have to be able to find and design your own personal annual cycle. Just like corporations, just like institutions, just like governments, you have to be able to find your own annual cycle. All right. So define your focus period, define your high energy period, you know, so you have to find your own entry into the year. How do you want to go about it? Um, if you, for instance, you are a seasonal, you run a business that has high season period where you know or you're a farmer, right? You're a farmer where you have planting season, you have so you what you will find is locked into our different experiences. There are certain periods where you have high focus period, you have low focus period, you have high resource period, you have low resource period, and all these things. So you have to factor all these things, energy into what will be your own personal um, yearly cycle. I have some friends whose year cycle they always pray, their year begins on their birthday. Right? They tell themselves this is when my new year starts. And in the last 5 years, they're able to organize themselves around their new year. They go for a retreat within that time period, engage themselves in certain level of renewals within that time period. They develop new visions, new goals within that time period. They retreat that period, get new energy for themselves, and go into the year, just looking at life differently from their birthday period. So there are people like that. There are people who take annual leave sometime in August. They go on vacation and they sort of like reset. That's their reset period. They don't like the hustle and bustle of December. They like to have their own reset and renewal in December, in August or in March. That's when their own annual renewal happens. So they take a pause, they take a breather, they pause, they reflect, they recharge themselves, and they go again. They write, review their year, and have a new burst of energy that helps them pursue, you know, begin sort of like that new year cycle. So this is something you have to understand, and you have to, educate yourself properly on how to find your own personal annual cycle that works for you, depending on what you do, where you are professionally or as a business person and all that. So you can be January to December. Meanwhile, for instance, you start up your business in August and you are celebrating your business anniversary in August, all right? Or you start your business in June, you're celebrating so your business renews itself in a sense in that month. So how do you then organize yourself properly and do that? There's also tax in terms of when you file your tax and all that. So it also plays into sort of like how you understand what a year can be like for you. So these are all the in education, right, that goes into having a real happy new year. Mr. Apostle, I can see what you are doing. Apostle, thanks for joining. uh, that goes into having a real annual year, a real happy new year. It's not just about wishes. All right. So design your own personal annual cycle. Design your own personal annual cycle. All right. You don't get trapped inside January to December. No organization, no institution functions within January to December. No high level institution does that. They don't function solely inside. It's just a seasonal thing. We go on break in December, we go on break in January and come back in December. We go on break in December and come back in January. That's just what it is. No real institution does that. All right. So so All right, so I'll speak again just quickly about the first. There are, in my opinion, there are very two big seasons within a year for everybody. There are two big seasons within the year for everybody. All right, and those two seasons are a season of high supply, whether it's supply of energy, supply of resource, supply of networking. You will find that you will come into a season in your life within a year, within your annual cycle, or within general, whatever. You come into a season of your life where you will experience high level energy. You will experience high level connection. Yeah. Just things will just happen in quick succession for you. People want to rush. People are rushing your business. Connections are happening with ease. Just and you send in an application and you get feedback on time. There are two seasons. Every season, these two seasons are a must within your annual experience. You will come into a time where you have high level, a season of plenty, a season of liquidity, high level, energy is just injected as a divine resource into your life. People just show you favor and bring you into their cycle. People try to expose secrets to you and trying to teach you something. All right, so information is just coming into your life that is very productive, that is very helpful, that is highly resourceful. Money, customers, profit. There's high level engagement in your life. All right, it's always a constant. And if you look in the last 5 years of your life, you will find that there were seasons of your life where there was high level engagement. There was, a lot of plenty, season of plenty, a season of plenty, a season of plenty. All right, you will come into that season. Some people will happen in February, some will happen in December, some will happen in January. The problem is that in that season, there's a character that you must display. There's an education. There's a position you must take in your season of plenty. Because as there's a season of plenty, there's also a season of lack. Season of lack is not always about money. You will come into a season where there's a bit of dryness. Invitations are no longer coming in. All right. Customers, sort of like are no longer coming in. You will find that there are seasons like that here and there where you will deploy resource in a place and it will not give you the result that a particular season gave to you. All right. And the balance between these two seasons is that you must live your life in a very, you must optimize your life in the season of plenty, knowing that a season of lack is coming. And you must optimize your life in the season of lack, knowing that a season of plenty is coming. These two seasons are almost a guarantee for every person within the year. These two seasons are almost a guarantee for every person within the year. There's a season of plenty where you must optimize your life knowing that the season of lack is coming. And the season of lack where you must optimize your life knowing that the season of plenty is coming. Now, in the season of plenty, characterized by high flow of resource, high flow of visibility, high flow of momentum, high flow of opportunity. All right. One of the indicators that you know you are in that season is that there's an increase in demand, there's an increase in recognition, there's an increase in recognition, there's an increase in cash flow, there's an increase in network expansion and exposure. That's an indicator. And all of these things might happen with ease or with low effort. You just make a post and it just goes viral, or you just send an application and it just happens. It just happens for you, and it works. It works in a way for you where you just it just works for you in a way where everything just plays out and works perfectly for you. All right. So these seasons happen for everyone. Right. So you will come into a season of plenty. You are going to come into a season of plenty, and there is a character. There's a character for you in that season that you must display. All right. All right. So now the objective, the strategic objective in this season is the accumulation and buffering. You have to you have to save in that season. You have to save. You have to sponsor in terms of make investment in that season, so it carries you deep into the new season. You have to save. You have to make investments in that season so that it carries you deep into the next season. Right? You have to make investments in that season so that it carries you deep into the next season. Right? So when you come into your season of plenty, that time is to create a buffer for yourself. All right, be magnanimous with that season as well. Share in that season as well, so that that saving and that sharing also multiplies and waits for you in the season of lack. All right. So the season of plenty coming for you. Strategy of virtue in this season is accumulation and create buffer for yourself. Don't indulge. Don't feel like seasons won't change. Be level-headed. All right. Save more than you consume. Save more than you consume, so that it can carry you through a season. All right. So what else should I add there? So supply, capture surplus, save capital and energy, build systems. All right. So you build system in that season. All right. Save in that season, or you capture the surplus that you have, you keep it. You know, or you share, capture. You know, and the common error is to overconsume and to be very wasteful in that season. And you can think about in the last 2 years of your life where you came into surplus and you are wasteful. What you will find is that that energy. Uh, you think about the parable of the foolish and the wise virgin, right? You think about that. When the season changes, when the time comes when you need that oil, you need to be able to use it. Right? Think about Joseph and in Egypt, right, where there were 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of lack. In that 7 years of plenty, you always have more than enough to keep for yourself and to supply, all right, and to save and be to protect your liquidity within that season, all right, so that such that when the season changes, you are able to carry on and carry along like nothing has changed. So that is an important and such a powerful experience in education to have about your annual cycle and how things play out. Very, very important education to have about your annual cycle and how things play out. Right. So the next season, like I said, there are two powerful seasons. The next season is the season of low supply. Nobody wants this season. Everybody, as I'm saying it now, you can listen. You can tell yourself, no, you are coming against it. No problem. Nobody wants this season. But please prepare for it. You rather don't have it than to have it and not prepare for it. All right. So you come into a season of low supply. You come into a season where you yourself, you have low motivation, low energy, low drive, low, low money, low everything. The people you will see, you will come into a season where even you feel like everybody just abandoned you. Nobody is calling you. You will send people messages and it seems that they ignore your messages. Everything feels or looks like everyone is sort of like abandoned you in that season, right? Now that season, as a matter of fact, is the one of the most important seasons of your life. When you come into a season where supply is low, that is one of the most important seasons of your life, because if you organize yourself properly within these two seasons and you come into that season where supply and energy is low, all right, and you find some type of regimentation to keep you going, and you lock in correctly in that season. By the time you come out of that season, oh man, oh man, you come, because in that season it seems like you are in obscurity. Take that time and invest it. Learn something. It seems like everything is not working. Take that time and ask yourself critical questions. What do I need to change? What did I miss? Reinvent. It takes in that time. It seems like okay, you are not getting invitation if you're a speaker to come out to speak. You're not getting trainings. You're not getting bookings. Okay, you know what? Take that time. The problem is that in the season of low supply, a lot of people begin to get into bitterness and start envying others. Look at this person, and that's one of my sons. And that person, I trained him, and he's not carrying me along. In that season of low supply, lock in, interact with new information. All right, that is the season where true visions are born. As a matter of fact, a lot of times, a lot of people lose their vision and lose their goals and their drive in the season of high supply. And in the season of low supply, a lot of people lose their energy and lose the reinvention that the season of low supply is supposed to bring to you. Are you with me? Are you getting what I'm saying? Right. All right. So in that season of low supply, the action should be incubation. It should be reinvention. It should be renewal. It should be auditing. It should be, reclarification. There should be realignment. The season of low supply, that should be your focus. That should be your focus. All right. So a lot of durable advantage, are constructed when attention is absent and when pressure is low. All right. So you want to take advantage of this season when you come into it. Some of you right now are in you are in your season of low supply, and you are just hanging in by the thread. You are just hanging in by the thread. Literally, you're just there thinking to yourself, how do I get past this thing? Everything is not working. I don't have enough supply of resource. I don't have enough supply of people. I don't have enough attention. I don't have enough, visibility. I don't have enough everything. What do I do? All right. This is the season where you actually, just reinvent, tweak, then insight that will come into your life. This kind of information, the next event you attend, the next education, the next course you attend. You join my academy, for instance. All right. You join the Living Leadership Academy, for instance. Right. And that's the season where you go out of your way in pursuit of new communities, of new education, of new information. You bring powerful information into your life. Right? There's a renewal and reimagination of the events and your engagement. And then by the time the seasons change and you come back into a season of high energy and high flow, what will happen is that you have discovered new powerful truths and insights that you will inject into what you are doing by the combination of a new season of high supply. All right. Now, the perfect combination and the strategic situation, the strategic position to take across your season of high supply and season of low supply is to live within a particular frame where in your season of high supply, you are much more concerned about your planning and your savings and sharing that platform and bringing in and sharing power that you are gaining and sharing the stage, and you are doing all that. You are casting your bread on many waters. You are casting your seeds on many soil in your season of plenty. You are saving and you are investing. All right. When you are doing that, you are preparing for a season of low supply. When the season of low supply comes, your savings and your investment in your season of low supply is able to carry you and through that season. But in your season of low supply, you have to reinvent, you have to reorganize, you have to re-strategize, you have to restructure, you have to tweak. You will lose some friends, you will lose some you will lose some friends, you will lose some engagements, you will lose some businesses, you will lose a lot of things in those seasons. You reinvent, you organize, you will strategize, you will launch when season changes. And these seasons are not like full stagnant seasons. It can be month to month, all right? It can be seasons of a quarter to quarter. It can be just interchanging within your annual cycle. It can just be interchanging within your annual cycle. And then you have such such an understanding about how to organize yourself within those two seasons. You will never have a terrible, you will never have a year where you feel so high and then you feel so low. You will just have a steady, progressive season to season, and then you are just going upward and forward. All right. So what else can I share? Using abundance strategies. So again, so when those season changes again, you have to there are strategies that you have to employ within the season of abundance that you cannot use within the season of scarcity. All right. So using scarcity strategy with the season of abundance will lead to you miss your leverage. If you use abundance strategies in the season of scarcity, you also lose. You waste a lot of energy. You waste a lot of money. You waste a lot of resources as well. So the disciplined individual does not ask, "What should I do now?" They ask, "What season am I in, and what does this season reward?" That's the summation of this part of this conversation. All right. What season am I in, and what does this season require of me? You deploy that, and then you're ready to go. All right. So okay. So there are a couple of things. There are a couple of things that is important. Just about how the year can go. All right. So another thing to look at is I will talk about five. I hope I can cover it. I will talk about five C is letter C. Just uh, five things that begins with letter C, anyways. That you watch out for the year that can help your thinking, that can sort of like help your understanding of how to project yourself for the year. All right. One of the C is crisis. It's crisis. All right. And sort of like how you respond to crisis. So crisis, you have to think about crisis. It's no longer a bug; it's a feature. All right. It's just part of this thing. There are too many. There are too many systems colliding, and too many infrastructures. Too many things are just happening. Right. And before you finish learning something, they've brought in an update. And I so the rate at which chaos is being organized and deployed, so that you don't get yourself that you don't just get yourself stuck when things are not going the way you think they should go. Like I said at the beginning, everybody is wise in January. All right, Mike Tyson says everybody has a plan until they get their first punch. All right, so when you experience, and you have to watch out for this, right? When you experience your first setback, when you experience when you deploy you put a plan together, you send it out, and things don't go your way. When you experience your first crisis, or when there's crisis in your industry, what should be your reaction? How you react will be the difference for you, for the people who look up to you for inspiration and for peace. All right. So economic shocks, technological disruptions, political instability, social fragmentation create sort of like frequent uh, mini crises, big crises. It doesn't matter. All right. The relevant question is not how to avoid crisis. The relevant question is how. All right. So the relevant question is not how to avoid it's not how to avoid crisis. It's how to remain functioning during said crisis. The relevant question is not about how to avoid crisis, right? It's is how to remain is how to continue to function within such crisis. That's a relevant question. All right. How do I continue to function within the crisis? Or how do I maximize my resource, my energy, my time, my business? How do I use this crisis as a launching pad? Because when there's blood on the street, always buy. When there's blood on the street, always buy. All right. So prepare yourself for crisis. All right. Whether in your personal life, whether in your business, something comes up, you send in a proposal, somebody is trying to take advantage of you in a business deal. Whatever crisis comes in, how you respond is very important. All right. How you respond is very important. How you respond is very, very important. All right. Another C is courage. All right. So courage has to be about acting before validation. You not truly understanding what the season requires from you, and deploying your highest energy towards the achievement of it. What does the season require from you? Deploy your highest energy in that direction. That is, courage. You need courage. In certain times, courage quiets, the noise, and helps you remain, build sustainable track record, deploy sustainable effort in the direction of your goal and the kind of results you are looking for, right? So courage is another thing for the year that you must embrace. That long-term discipline of steady deployment of your energy and the right type of resource in the achievement of your goals, right? So you want to begin to think upon the idea of courage and what it will mean for you in 2026 and beyond, right? We need to just think on it. What will courage mean for me in 2026? All right? Will it mean for me to just confront my fears? Will it mean for me to, you know, act in the direction of my discomfort or go beyond my preference? Does it mean I have to confront? if someone on my team. Doesn't mean I have to fire someone. Doesn't mean I have to break a long-term relationship that has become unproductive, a long-time business deal that has become toxic and quite frankly has become unproductive for both people, for everybody involved. All right, so you want to just begin to understand what courage will mean for you in 2026 and what kind of action will be your courageous actions in 2026 and beyond. You want to begin to understand that because 2026 will demand courage from you. It will demand courage from you. All right. So another C is companies. So join the right company. When I mean company, I don't mean an organization. It can be communities. It can be a group of people. It can be new friends. But communities, I think that's the right word anyway. It's community. You have to join the right community in 2026. You have to think about, in 2026 and beyond, what kind of communities am I joining? Who am I taking company with? Who are in my cycle? Right? That's the kind of question you want to ask yourself, where you are exchanging ideas, you are exchanging information, you are building right track into sort of like what you're trying to achieve and all that. So I think there's so many things I can say here, but I won't be able to finish everything. Another thing that I can share is to okay, you have to be able to. Another thing let me just share this finally. Another thing is to set goals across the key roles in your life. You are a mother, you are a wife, you are a sister, you are a business person, you are an employee. All right. So what you want to do is to break your life into groups based on the roles that you play, because a person's life is the total summation of the roles that they play. A lot of times you are playing roles and you have to audit your year, audit your annual year last year, all right, and think about all the roles that you play and try to understand if you understood truly that this was a role or you're just acting randomly. They just call you tomorrow. It's happening in London. Let's go. I'm sorry, you hardly get London calls, but it's happening. It's happening in Lagos. Let's go. It's happening in Calabar. Let's go. It's happening, and you just up and leave. You just up and leave without realignment in terms of the roles that you are playing. Right. I want you to think about all the roles that you play in your life, and think about outlining goals based on the roles that you play. What are the core roles in your life? All right. You are an employee. You are a business owner. You are a freelancer. That's a dominant role. You are a man, you are a woman, those are dominant roles. You are a father, you are a mother, those are dominant roles. You are a wife, you are a husband, those are dominant roles. You are a boyfriend, you are a girlfriend, not really so dominant roles because they are not permanent. They are temporary roles in a sense because anything can happen at that level. Alright? But then they are roles that you play. So you begin to in all the roles that you play, you want to make a list of 3 to 5 goals across the roles that you play. Just 3 to 5 goals, simple goals, realistic, practical, ingrained inside of the context that you are in currently and the season that you are in currently. So you want to list goals within the roles that you are playing, and then you want to then set goals based on the roles that you are playing. Very important. All right. Each role should require minimum standards. What it must not fall below. Maintenance actions. What should sustain? What do you have? What it takes to sustain those goals? What are the objectives and all that in terms of the goals that you are setting. All right. So those are very, very important things. So there's so many things I would have loved to share. All right. What you have to understand the dependencies when you are setting goals. Understand dependency mapping. You ask yourself questions like what must come first, what 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 can be parallel with them, what can you add, what can you pursue at the same time without clash. All right. So what requires external cooperation? What requires multiple stakeholders? What is within your immediate control? One of the very most important questions as you are doing your dependency mapping. All right, what is really within your control? Because a lot of people they overrate what is within their control and underestimate what is within their control as well. All right, so what is really, really within your control? You want to make a list of those type of things. You want to identify those things. What must come first? So you have to be able to do first things first. What can be done simultaneously, and what do you need to pace what requires external cooperation, that requires stakeholders from outside of within or outside of your control, and then what is within your immediate control as well. So those are really, really, really important things that you have to, put together and work with. What else? So another in terms of designing strategy should remain simple. Execution should be so your execution should be specific. Effective annual design operates on four layers. What is your annual intent in terms of your annual, like talk about your annual cycle. What is your annual intent? And then what is your quarterly focus? What is your and how do you then review that month to month? And then how do you execute that day to day? All right, this is high level work, all right, that I do with people, you know, for a few weeks within the year, at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of their own annual cycle, right? Where we begin to analyze what is your annual goal year to year, or at least within the 2 or 3 year plan. What is your quarterly focus? Um, you know, quarter to quarter, and then month to month, and then we talk about week to week, and then that all that then aligns into day to day. All right. So these are just a few things that really really helps you to have a happy new year. Because a lot of times we come into the year with this false sense of energy. Not everybody anyway, but a lot of people come into the year with a false energy. There's a confusion about, my pastor has talked about my team of the year. This is my year for this is my year for that, this is my year for this is my year for that. And how do I then put all this information together? How do I take advantage of the grace of God that is available to me? How do I mobilize and deploy all these things in the direction of achieving meaningful results in 2026 and 2027 or 2028, the next 3 to 5 years, depending on the annual year cycle that you operate within, right? So these are the, sort of like the practical understanding that can help you have a truly, truly happy new year, all right? So a brief recap, you want to understand that, hey, what is really in the year? By the time you strip away, there's a difference between total available time in the year, 365, to total usable time in the year. There are two different things. Total available time in the year is 365. Total usable time in the year is under 250. It's under 250 days. It's under 250 days. If you think about it, by the time you sleep, you rest, you chill, you wake up and you don't feel like doing anything, right? By the time you have those moments and moments where you just want to watch season one to season eight of a seasonal movie, moments when by the time you have those seasons, you realize that there's a difference between total available time of the year, which is 365 days, and total usable time of the year, which is always a lot of times under 250, depending on the kind of person you are, how dedicated you are, and your leadership capacity. And so that's the first important thing, right? So you have to plan to understand that this year no really reach 365 days. It's not really that long. So that even helps you expand the possibility for yourself in terms of by the time you count public holiday, by the time you count where you want to work, but let's say the organization doesn't want to work, or the society tells you by force you must go back home and all that. So you have to think about that. So that should expand how you look at the year. Maybe you want to be able to have the annual cycle that cuts into the next year and all that. So what is in a year is that there is a total amount of year available, and that is different from the total amount of year that is usable. Another thing to understand is that you have to design your own annual cycle. It can be January to December if that works for you. But depending on the context of your life, whether you're a student, if you're a student, you know that you cannot be doing January to December because even your life is not controlled in January to December. All right. If you are in 100 level, you do 100 level. I don't know how it works these days. It cuts across into the next year. You are starting a new semester in August, and then you find that you have 3 months where you have to focus on your academic goals, and then you have to be able to design your life differently. So it's very important to understand that you have to also find your own rhythm within the year and begin to design. Make it a point of duty this year to say, as your year, as this January to December calendar begins, to pay attention to the patterns of your own personal seasons and begin to construct your own annual leadership, annual cycle, your personal annual cycle. Because a lot of corporate institutions don't do January to December. They don't do January to December as their annual year. A lot of political institutions don't do so. A lot of governments don't do so. A lot of corporate organizations, global institutions don't do January to December. I'm telling you, you shouldn't as well be trapped alone within the context of January to December alone. All right, it's a calendar year. It helps us mark our, understand, the difference in seasons and times and all that. But in terms of how to mobilize yourself in the achievement of your result, I want you to be able to design your own annual year within the context of your own season, where you are and what you're trying to achieve. All right. So a lot of there's what is called fiscal year. All right. There's what is called fiscal year. There's what is called AGM and all that. So they're all just different ways organizations and institutions organize themselves within their own productive year. All right. And I was saying that there are two seasons that will happen for you. There are seasons of plenty and there are seasons of scarcity, seasons of abundance, seasons of scarcity. Within the season of abundance, you will have to save, share power, do you understand? Build inroads, make investment that will carry you through your season of scarcity. And then in your season of scarcity, you have to reinvent, you have to reimagine, you have to reorganize, and you have to realign yourself. And by the time the new season comes in, you are ready to go. And then it will look like your seasons never change. If you, in your season of abundance, take the right actions, in your season of, of scarcity, take the right action, you will live a life that it will not even show. All right. A lot of times when you're coming to a season of abundance, a lot of times people just, indulge too much. And when the season of scarcity comes, they have nothing in their reservoir to carry them through that season and help them do the reimagination and the realignment that it takes to find and maximize that season of scarcity. So those two seasons are not like every 6 months or like a lot of times it can be month to month, it can be week to week. You can experience them in quick succession, you can experience them far apart, but it's a guarantee that in this year you will have two different seasons. All right. So how you manage yourself in those 2 years will bring you up to speed across board. All right. And I talked about crisis, I talked about courage, and I talked about communities. Crisis, courage, and communities. All right. In the season of crisis, respond correctly because crisis will happen. All right. Within your industry, in your personal life, you might come into a point where things are not connecting the way you should connecting. You might start having issues in certain relationships in your life. How you respond is the most important thing. All right. So you have to respond with wisdom, respond from a sense of who you are, not just about the crisis and how you can use that crisis and ride that wave in this when blood is on the street, always buy. All right. So join the right, you want to join the right community. You want to leave the community you are in right now. If it's not serving or you are not serving as much as you should, and it's not serving your goals and your dream as much as you should be able to change communities and get on with your life. Another is courage. So crisis, courage, communities. So courage, understand what will courage mean for you this year. Does it mean to break certain relationships? Does it mean to start new ones? Does it mean to exit certain companies? Does it mean to join new ones? Does it mean to go beyond just your preference and to go about your life based on what your destiny truly demands? Not just, what I like, I feel like, understand what courage will mean for you and deploy your energy in that direction. All right. So I think finally, I also talked about, organizing your life based on your core rules, all the roles that you play in life. Your core rules in life, you set goals based on those core rules, not just randomly. Set goals based on the core rules that you play. Permanent core rules that you engage in day to day. You are an employee, you are a business owner, those are core rules, right? You are a husband, you're a father, those are core rules. You are a husband, you're a mother, those are your father, your mother, those are core rules. Your husband, your wife, those are core rules. All right. So you pick core goals in your life and you select 3 to 5 goals across those core goals, and then you understand dependencies, and then you begin to do real practical strategy work across the achievement of those goals. All right. I would like to stop here right now. And the important announcement that I'll be making all through the month of January into February and until March is that our we are launching our leadership academy. Should be one of the most important investments that you make for yourself this 2026 and beyond. Right, it begins in March. It's just 30,000 naira. Uh, you will see the link somewhere in the comments. Please click the link, take a look at what you are going to be learning, all that is available. It's 100% online. So you can watch the videos from wherever you are. You can join live classes wherever you are. 2 live classes a week. Um, and then the videos are self-paced. You can watch them wherever you are. I I will be discussing these, quick more often for those who are a part of my community. I encourage you, even if those of us who are close to me, I encourage you to sign up to be a part of the first cohort, the inaugural cohort of the Living Leadership Academy. So just go to www.livingleadershipacademy.com. Look through everything that we have available for you. You're a business person, you're a career person, family life, uh, digital life, everything. We are covering a vast amount of causes, uh, vast area of the human life because everything I believe rises and falls on leadership. So click on the link, try and join. I encourage you, I need you to join this cohort of um, of the annual of the Living Leadership Academy. The basic leadership program commences on the 8th of March. People are already paying. People are already paying, and seats are not unlimited. When we get into a particular number of people we are expecting for this cohort, we will shut down registration. So join, make a leadership investment as you kick off your year. Make a leadership investment as you kick off your year. All right. More details will be in the comment section of this video, and I'll see you soon. If we are connected, we will definitely meet. Thank you very much for watching. Aisha, I saw you. Chineye, Nat, Uche, who else? Thank you so much, everyone. Mr. Elisha Maman, thank you for stopping by. I don't think you stayed for that long, but thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the encouragement. Jane, thanks for watching as well. All right, and everybody I couldn't reach or I couldn't see, thank you so much for being a part of this. I'll see you in the next one.